Welcome back to another episode in the Business English series of the Jane and Joe podcast. Today, we're talking about how to request action at work. That means asking someone to do something, clearly and professionally.
Oh, I really need this one. Last week, I sent an email to a colleague in the finance team. I needed him to send me the budget report, but he didn't reply for 3 days. I think my message was too soft. I wasn't sure how to ask without sounding rude.
That's a very common situation, Joe. Today, you'll learn how to ask clearly and confidently, and you'll still sound polite. Let's start with some useful phrases. The first one is follow up on. This means to check on something you already asked about. For example, I'm writing to follow up on the invoice I sent last Monday.
So I can say, I'd like to follow up on my earlier request.
Exactly right. The next phrase is take care of. This means to handle or complete a task. For example, could you take care of the client report by Thursday?
I can use that with my team leader. Like, can you take care of the onboarding schedule for the new hire?
That works perfectly in that context. Now let's look at get back to me. This means to reply or respond to someone. For example, please get back to me with your decision by end of day.
Oh, I know this one. I can say, can you get back to me about the supplier contract?
Yes, and it sounds natural and direct. The next phrase is move forward with. This means to start or continue an action after a decision. For example, we need your approval to move forward with the campaign.
So in sales, I could say, let me know if we can move forward with the proposal.
That's a strong sentence for a sales email. Now we have set a deadline for. This means to decide when something must be finished. For example, let's set a deadline for the quarterly review submission.
My manager says this all the time. I can say, we need to set a deadline for the vendor responses.
Good. It shows you're organized and proactive. The last phrase is reach out to. This means to contact someone, often to ask for something. For example, please reach out to the HR team about the training schedule.
Can I use this in an internal email?
Absolutely.
Like, I'll reach out to the operations team to confirm the delivery date.
That sounds professional and clear. Now let's look at some sentence patterns you can use every day. The first pattern is, could you please plus verb plus by plus time. This is polite and direct. For example, could you please send the sales data by Friday? Or, could you please confirm the meeting time by tomorrow morning? Or, could you please review the contract by end of week?
Could you please update the project tracker by Wednesday?
Good, short, clear, and professional. The next pattern is, I'd appreciate it if you could plus verb. This sounds respectful and slightly formal. For example, I'd appreciate it if you could approve the budget request. Or, I'd appreciate it if you could join the call this Thursday. Or, I'd appreciate it if you could respond before the client meeting.
I'd appreciate it if you could share the updated price list.
That's a strong sentence for a procurement or sales context. Here's another useful one. Please make sure to plus verb plus by plus time. Use this when something is important and time sensitive. For example, please make sure to submit your report before noon. Or, please make sure to inform the client before the deadline. Or, please make sure to back up all files before the system update.
Please make sure to complete the employee survey before Friday.
That's exactly the kind of sentence an HR manager would send. Now let's try, I'm writing to ask you to plus verb. This is clear and works well at the start of an email. For example, I'm writing to ask you to review the attached proposal. Or, I'm writing to ask you to assign someone to handle this request. I'm writing to ask you to provide the updated inventory list. Good, that opener tells the reader exactly why you're writing. Here's a softer pattern. When you get a chance, could you plus verb. Use this for less urgent requests. For example, when you get a chance, could you check the meeting notes? Or, when you get a chance, could you update the contact list? When you get a chance, could you send me the new marketing brief? Yes, it's polite without sounding too passive. One more. I'd like to request that subject plus verb. This is more formal and works well in written communication. For example, I'd like to request that the finance team review the expense claims. Or, I'd like to request that all managers submit feedback by Monday.
I'd like to request that the IT team reset my system access.
That sentence is clear and appropriate for an internal IT request. The last pattern is, it would be helpful if, subject, could, verb. This is indirect but still clear. For example, it would be helpful if you could share the weekly status update. Or, it would be helpful if the team could confirm attendance by Thursday.
It would be helpful if you could send the agenda before the meeting.
Right. That's something anyone on a team could say or write. Now let's practice with a role play. Imagine you work in operations at a logistics company. You need to contact a colleague in the warehouse team. They haven't sent you the weekly stock report yet. I'll play your colleague and you request the action. Ready?
Ready.
Hi, Joe. Sorry, it's been a busy week.
Hi, I'm writing to follow up on the weekly stock report. Could you please send it to me by this afternoon?
Oh, right. I forgot about that. When do you need it exactly?
I'd appreciate it if you could send it before 3 o'clock. The operations manager needs it for the review meeting.
I'm still waiting on one section from my colleague.
I understand. When you get a chance, could you send what you have now? I can follow up on the missing section separately.
That works. I'll send it in about an hour.
Thank you. Please make sure to copy the operations manager on the email.
Of course, I'll do that now.
I'd also like to request that you set a deadline for this report every Friday. It would be helpful if we had a fixed schedule.
That's a good idea. I'll reach out to the team and suggest it.
Great. Thank you for taking care of this.
Now let's practice some key sentences together. I'll say each one slowly and you repeat it. Could you please send the budget report by end of day?
Could you please send the budget report by end of day?
I'd appreciate it if you could confirm your attendance by Thursday.
I'd appreciate it if you could confirm your attendance by Thursday.
I'm writing to follow up on my earlier request.
I'm writing to follow up on my earlier request.
Please make sure to submit the documents before the deadline.
Please make sure to submit the documents before the deadline.
It would be helpful if you could share the updated schedule.
It would be helpful if you could share the updated schedule.
I'd like to request that the team get back to me by Friday morning.
I'd like to request that the team get back to me by Friday morning.
Well done today, Joe. Let's quickly go over what we covered. First, we learned key phrases like follow up on, take care of, and reach out to. These help you ask for action clearly and naturally. Second, we practiced sentence patterns like, could you please? I'd appreciate it if, and I'm writing to ask you to. These patterns work in emails, messages, and even conversations. Third, we did a role play in a real workplace situation. You requested action politely and with confidence. Do you have any questions before we finish?
Yes, actually. Sometimes I need to ask my manager to do something. Is it okay to use these patterns with someone senior?
Great question. Patterns like I'd appreciate it if and I'd like to request work well with managers. They sound respectful without being too casual. Avoid very direct ones like make sure to with a senior person.
That makes sense. One more question. What if someone doesn't respond?
Then you follow up. Start with I'm writing to follow up on my previous message. Keep it short and professional. Don't apologize for following up.
I always felt bad about following up.
You don't need to. Following up is a normal and professional thing to do.
Today really helped me. I feel more confident about asking for action at work. I used to just wait and hope someone would do something. Now I know how to actually say it.
And that makes a big difference in any workplace. Thanks for joining us today, Joe.
Thanks, Jane. See you next time.
See you in the next episode of the Jane and Joe podcast. Take care, everyone.